Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Brian. Today we're back at our beach house and it's snowing. It's January and it's actually snowing or sleeting out here. Unexpected, but at least today's project we'll be working inside. Let's go. During the summer we rent this house, or as much as we can, even during the rest of the year. This year we had a pipe leak upstairs. Actually the ice maker water line leaked in the kitchen and destroyed the walls and ceiling in the laundry room below. So I've kind of started working on it already. Originally this had a plywood ceiling and the walls were this pressboard crap. Well, the abatement people came in and tore out the cabinets and the ceiling. So I decided, or we decided, this ceiling was bulkheaded down. I don't know if it shows up out here, but there was a bulkhead that they ran down, and the reason they did that is the plumbing and the bathrooms upstairs. So the ceiling went up, dropped down, went across, went back up. It seemed kind of dumb. We were going to go back with plywood, but it's ridiculously expensive, so we decided we would drywall it. And I'm using the mold resistant drywall on surfaces in case it does leak again. I don't know if it'll make any difference. I also installed new can lights in here, and as part of the rehab, this door used to be the original door to the outside before the garage was built out there, and there was a refrigerator in front of it which made it kind of cramped in here, and then we have a lockout closet behind here that we keep some of our personal stuff, cleaning supplies, etc. So we decided we would go back, drywall this whole thing, remove the refrigerator and block in that door because there's another door right here. It's going to be kind of dark out here, I think. But this garage we're standing in was added, I'm pretty sure, right here was the original garage to the house, which would have been the lower level. So they blocked that in, added this door, left the original door. So as part of this project, I'm going to block this door in, and the plan is we'll put a window because it allows some light, because you have natural light from the garage windows, etc. So that's the plan. Also, as part of the plan, we got a new laundry sink, and it's kind of cramped being jammed in the corner, especially with the door behind you. So we're going to eliminate this door and put a sliding barn door here. So the original switch was right here, using that as a junction box now. I didn't show you that part. And I moved the switch over there. Unfortunately, when I did that, I reused the old switch and it failed. So right now it's just permanently on. So I get a new switch and ignore this part of the ceiling. I had to make some modifications. So anyway, I think we'll start by ripping this sink out. Went ahead and pulled this door off, and that already made a huge difference as far as the amount of space available. Disconnected the plumbing and the drain. Looks like they just screwed this thing to the wall with deck screws. Yikes, that's a mess. This is what we're dealing with. Also, this house has copper drain lines. I've never seen that before. Transitions to cast iron that's underground, and I know that because it all rotted out and had to saw the slab up and replace that a few years ago. So anyway, let me get the rest of this stripped out of here. So got all that ripped out of there. This is kind of a disaster back here. So I'll figure out what I'm going to do with all that mess. I think at one point they moved the laundry room out here because there's evidence of it being elsewhere. That's probably why that's PVC, at least the washing machine. There was a clothesline out back, so they may not have had a dryer back in the day. So that utility sink is kind of that, what we have. These hose bibs at the bottom, perhaps they drained and winterized the house. I'm guessing that maybe. These ran around, and there's a utility sink on the other side, or a bar sink on the other side of this wall, which we're probably going to keep, maybe relocate it, but I can deal with that from the other side. This I just cut off for now. I'll probably cut that off and solder a cap on it, and then when the utility sink goes in, I may just put a facade in front of that. So while I'm thinking on all that mess, I got a piece of drywall cut, and we'll go ahead and get this put up there. I also moved this electrical box out because it was flush to fit this stuff, and they didn't do a very good job of flushing up any of the studs, so it's kind of wavy, and there's a big gap right here. So I cut a piece of this crap in here. Then I'm hoping will act as a little bit of a shim, so when I put the drywall in, it doesn't bend like crazy. So anyway, also moved that box out, or maybe I already said that. And I've cut this piece of drywall. Let's see if we can get it heaved up there. I think our problem area is right here. I do have a Sureform. It's not exactly a drywall rasp, but it does the same thing. Just in case, I'll hit the whole thing. Fortunately, there's the low spot drain right there, which might come in handy in this instance. So we'll go ahead and drain the whole house, which is, I don't see any way around that. So I'll let that sit there and drip and dribble for a minute. I have a faucet open upstairs to let some air behind it. So I'm going to cut this off, out in here somewhere where I have a little bit of access. And then solder a cap on. That's the plan anyway. I'm going to go ahead and clean this paint off first. Open my close quarters tubing cutter. Fit. So I actually have a brush, and I can go ahead and clean the inside of this cap. I have some paste flux, which is no telling how old. Hopefully it'll work. I usually have pretty good luck soldering as long as I can get all the water out. So we have pretty good odds in this situation. There we go. My solder ready. And I have some propane from 1974. It came with the house. Apparently this doesn't go bad. And as long as I don't set anything on fire, should be able to heat this up and solder it. That looked like it sucked it in. We'll let that cool for a minute. I'm giving it a few minutes. Now here's the moment of truth. Let's close our drain. Probably need to go upstairs and make sure I close that faucet, and then we'll test it. As I said, my luck soldering old stuff can be hit or miss. Let's see if we're a hit or a miss this time. Yeah, it's dripping. Looks like we're a miss. Damn it. So we do it right because we do it twice or something like that. In my experience, there's no fixing this. You got to take it off and clean it and reflux it and do it again. And you want to make sure you don't get it so hot you deform the freaking cap and then it won't fit. So clean her up again. Scrub out this cap again. Your results may differ. Here we go. And this newer, super safe lead-free solder can be kind of a pain in the ass too. Felt like it sucked it in pretty good. We'll give that a moment of curing. Let's see how that turned out. Let's give this another shot. Let me know if it leaks. So far, so good. Now watch it shoot off and soak me. It's cooled off, so it has water behind it now. And it is dry. So we have success. And at least this will be outside the drywall. So if there's a problem in the future, I can still access it. Looks like our solder is held. Looks like we're ready to drywall this wall. I went ahead and cut a piece the right length. So I'm gonna have to notch out for all these fittings, or make one big notch and go in and then fix it later when we come across here. Instead of me trying to memorize all these measurements, I'm going to measure them right here and just transfer them. Also make sure we're going to fit behind there. I don't want this sitting all the way on the floor in case there is some water event. We'll prop it up on some scraps here. Since I'm going to do baseboard here, and we're a little bit low with the switch plate, I'm going to go ahead and bring it up to close to the bottom of that box. Let me go find some more shims. So I think this piece of a pallet will work pretty well for our switch box. Now I can just come over here and transfer lines and kind of trace our notch out onto here, and then it should slide in the corner. Let's give this a shot. So we need to clear the top of that, and kind of the bottom of this. I have this marked where I need to notch it. So in this instance, can't cut it with that. In this instance, this is pretty thin. This can be hard to cut that piece out and break it out without really jacking up the wall, drywall like I just did when the knife slipped. So I'm going to use the oscillating tool. Obviously, we need to pull it away so it don't cut through the pipe. All right, that's pretty good. Now, let's come back in here and notch for this pipe. So anyway, I'll get this screwed up, and I've also marked areas where pipes go through, so I don't want to put screws in those studs. Oh my God. Ugh. I didn't want this accidentally coming off here. Got a condom on it too. Haven't seen that before. So this is just plain old joint compound. Normally this stuff's way drier than this, so I'm pretty impressed. If you want to see some expert apply joint compound, you're in the wrong place. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to use a hawk instead of a little pan, because that pan can be a pain in the ass. At least want to get something on this big old wavy joint right here. Give it some time to dry overnight. So I'll give this a shot with a hawk. So we want to pack some in that joint. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a pretty big gap. We're filling in quite a bit right there. So I want to at least get started on that. I do kind of like the hawk. It gives you something to catch once you lose. So one thing I have learned over the years is using paper tape's way easier than that mesh stuff. So what I want to do is embed this in here, but I want to make sure the stuff doesn't dry out, because if it dries out, you get bubbles in it and you can't ever get those out. So I got some spots here that go low. This is mud's a little wetter with the crease side to the inside. Just ease it in there. And as I said, you want to make sure it gets properly wet. Wet enough that it doesn't bubble up, but not too wet where it really starts to wrinkle and absorb the moisture. So anyway, that's such a big gap to fill. I just want to get some of the big boogers off here, and then I'm going to let it dry for tonight. And I'm hoping we don't have any tape bubbles. I think we have to fill so much in here to make this level. We should be all right. You can go ahead and just hit some of the deeper screws if you want. So next up, we'll tackle this wall. We are planning on putting a countertop above the washing machine to kind of cover it, fold clothes, whatever. So that's going to put this box for the water connections for the washing machine kind of in a weird place. And I don't know, it's kind of janky anyway. Plus, I'm going to have to move it out from the wall to account for the drywall thickness. So anyway, it's also piped in with Quest pipe, polybutylene pipe, which is apparently bad news. I guess there was a class action lawsuit against this stuff. So anyway, since we're going to change that, I'm going to go ahead and replace that with PEX tubing. And I got a new PEX compatible outlet box. So we'll get that put in. In order to move this, obviously I'm going to have to cut the pipes, but I'm going to have to mess around and move this bracing up. So let me get started on that. Water shut off and drained, so let's just go for it. That's one way of doing it. Straps and galleries put back together. Not necessary within the wall. Need something closer to attach the box to. I figured out these little tabs right on the side. Not the easiest to get in there. A piece of drywall that would kind of adjust the depth. If I do another click, it sticks out too far. So I'm going to try it again. That's 2 inch, so I'm going to have to go from 2 inch to 1.5 inch. So I'm going to take my measurement and glue a piece of 2 inch. Be sure to scuff up the inside of your fitting and the outside of your pipe. And spill this purple primer all over the place. Make sure to do the inside and outside of your joint. Be sure to do the inside and the outside of both pieces. Slide it on, make sure you engage it the whole depth. I give it a little twist and then hold it, otherwise it's gonna push itself off and then everybody on YouTube loses their mind in the comments. So I'll hold that for a few seconds. That should be good. Already scuffed the inside and the outside of this piece of pipe. Probably not a bad idea to test fit it though. Should be good enough. double check and make sure I'm gonna have enough room to get in there and make my crimp connections. It looks like I should. Okay, same deal here. All right, that's pretty good. We'll get some nails and we'll nail this in. Instructions weren't super clear on how to attach this, so I guess you can do it however you want. That looks pretty square. Just gonna use some roofing nails. If the internet tells you you can use PEX on a Quest fitting, don't believe them, because I could not get that thing on there. I could get it on, but I couldn't get the ring on. So I went and got a PEX fitting. So the idea is sweat that off, sweat a new fitting on there. If I can't get that stick, I can cut it back some. Since the PEX wouldn't fit on that connection, I'm going to go ahead and cut that off too and get this out and we'll put a new connector in there. So there's probably water standing in here, that's why it's steaming, so it's never gonna sweat that solder out until I get the water out of there. So after much struggling, I finally got that fitting out of there, and I couldn't get the new one in, so I decided I would sand on that some more and go with this setup here. I didn't want to beat up that fitting trying to get it in the hole, so I added a little nipple and a coupling and then the fitting. It's all fluxed up. Let's see if we can get it to solder. That's probably way too much solder, but I think it'll be all right. Let that cool. While we're waiting for that to cool, take another crack at getting this thing to crimp on here. Oh yeah, much better. So apparently you can't use Quest barbs for PEX tubing. I'm not crazy about the way that's bent, but it is what it is. So I have this crimper. This is the cheap version. If you don't want to go buy the big gun, the middle jaw on here is for 1/2 inch. Stick that on there. I have a pair of vice grips adjusted for it, and in theory this should crimp it when it's all the way shut. Also came with this go, no-go gauge, which I can't read anymore. And that one fits, and that one does not. So, let me figure out which one was which here. 1/2 inch go is that one. Looks good. That's cooled probably enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it 3/4 through the hole and then transition to 1/2 inch and make the turn. You're probably not supposed to crimp over labels, but that's going to happen this time. And 3/4 go fits. So the valve just drops in this hole, and it's a 1/4 turn to lock it in. And this is a crimp connection also. You can cut this with the utility knife, but I wasn't having very much luck staying straight. I'm gonna use the tubing cutter. If you do a lot of this, the actual PEX cutter is pretty handy. Makes quick work of it. And they're like 12 bucks. And you can cut like garden hose and all kinds of stuff with them. So that worked fine on the 3/4. Half's not having it so much. That's not gonna go in there very well. Oh, just barely. This thing has stops on it, so pretty much when it bottoms out, it's crimped all the way. Appears to be happy. This is going to kind of stick out past the wall, so I'm going to cut it off shorter, and then I'm going to transition to 1/2 inch and then go up to this valve. My microphone may or may have not been on for all that, but we're connected up here. These are snapped in. Everything's crimped. Says it's good. They're turned off. Transition to 3/4 down here through an elbow. So now we turn the water on and hope nothing leaks. The water you hear running is a toilet that I flushed, refilling to try to get the water down low enough so I could solder to make that solder connection. So, looks like my plumbing held, no leaks. I put these protection plates on so I don't run any screws through any wires or pipes. I don't know why they put them so close to the front. Anyway, I got this covered up, got this piece cut, so I'll go ahead and get this piece of drywall up and I won't bore you with all those details. So it's been a few hours, hung all this up. Our plumbing didn't leak. We ran a load of laundry and dried it. So I think at this point I just need to do some more taping, mudding. I think all I'll show you is maybe doing this corner. So I add a little more water to this mud. Everything I've read and kind of my own experience. This stuff's too dry out of the bucket. So I'm going to go ahead and glop some mud in here, in the corner. I've been told if you use the side of the knife, you get more on, you don't scrape it all off. And then with using the hawk, normally you can catch what you're going to lose. All right, so I've pre-cut a piece of tape to about the right length and pre-folded it. Now I just need to kind of force it into that mud. Got some more mud, add a little bit more water to it, make it pretty runny. Because the idea is, thanks to my experience, you want to get this tape soaking wet so it doesn't dry out. Because if it dries out, you're going to get a bubble in it, and it's going to be a bitch to get rid of. And also, kind of keep the pressure on the wall side more so, and leave it a little looser on the corner, and that'll help build it up. But there's about 1 million drywalling videos on YouTube. Anyway, that's kind of the gist of it. So I'll finish the rest of this. So it's the next day. We have mostly a functioning laundry room at this point. Applied another coat of mud. I still need to do the ceiling corners, and they don't need to be perfect because I've been informed we're going to put crown molding up there. I'm going to put crown molding up there. So anyway, I think we'll call it a wrap on this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.